employee in New York may be at risk. Test results not yet in. And a letter received in Nevada has tested positive for anthrax spores. We'll devote a good deal of our program to examining this and other bioterrorism menaces and the government's response. Koki?
That's right, Sam, but that's all on the home front. Of course, the war in Afghanistan goes on. There was bombing overnight. And today in Pakistan, demonstrations. George Stephanopoulos joins us from there.
That's right, Koki. Another night of heavy bombing in Afghanistan, as you said, and that has sparked new demonstrations here in Pakistan. 3 protesters were killed in the southern city of Jacobabad, where several thousand protesters clashed with police near a military base that's now home to American soldiers and equipment. Also this afternoon, I sat down with Taliban spokesman Sohail Shaheen, who said the Taliban leader Mullah Omar survived a U.S. missile strike on his car earlier this week. He also claimed that 400 civilians have been killed in the bombing and vowed that the Taliban would not surrender Osama bin Laden even if Afghanistan is destroyed.
It is better to be destroyed than to surrender to might and arrogance.
Finally, Shaheen denied reports in the American press that Osama bin Laden's forces have created chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons in Afghanistan. Koki?
Thank you, George. George will be back later in the program with an exclusive interview with Pakistan's foreign minister. And now to ABC's chief investigative correspondent in New York, Brian Ross.
Koki, the discovery of anthrax at a third location in a letter postmarked in Malaysia and sent to a Microsoft office in Nevada has put the investigation into a much sharper focus. Investigators say this third location points more in the direction of a group than one person, and Malaysia is a known stronghold of the bin Laden al-Qaeda network. The FBI says there's no evidence of any connection, but Vice President Cheney said Friday such a connection cannot be dismissed.
I think the only responsible thing for us to do is to proceed on the basis that they could be linked. And obviously that means you've got to spend time as well, as we've known now for some time, focusing on other types of attacks besides the one that we experienced on September 11th.
Over the weekend, the FBI said that the anthrax letter sent to NBC was postmarked in Trenton, New Jersey on September 18th, and that a second NBC employee is now being treated for symptoms. Meantime, in Florida, authorities said 5 more employees at the American media company had tested positive for anthrax antibodies in their blood. 2 of them worked near the desk of Bob Stevens, the only person to die from the anthrax letters. In fact, leading authorities say what's going on seems to be designed more to terrorize than to kill, and that even some of the so-called hoaxes could be connected because they spread panic and divert already stretched thin law enforcement authorities. On that point, there was a new direct threat issued yesterday by the al-Qaeda organization in a videotaped statement broadcast by the Arab news channel Al Jazeera, an unusually specific one, urging Muslims who live in America and in England to stay away from planes and not to live in high-rises. It was all termed propaganda by officials in Washington who have issued both warnings of an imminent attack and then pleas to go shopping and return to normal, causing some people in law enforcement and intelligence to complain that political leaders are giving mixed, contradictory warnings, often based on an inexperienced reading of raw intelligence. And others say the handling of the anthrax cases has been marked by inexcusable bungling and ineptitude, with health officials, including Secretary of Health and Human Services Tommy Thompson, being accused by officials of the company in Florida of a serious failure to communicate. Sam?
Thank you, Brian. Brian Ross reporting. And joining us now is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Tommy Thompson. Welcome, Mr. Secretary.
Well, it's good to be on your program. Thank you very much, Sam.
Does it now appear that these anthrax cases that we've just heard reported on are linked? And can we expect more here in the United States?
Sam, we don't know if there are going to be more or not. We cannot say conclusively that they have been linked. You can make that supposition, but there's no conclusive evidence whatsoever that they've been linked. And I also would like to correct that the 5 in Florida still is preliminary. There has not been a confirmation of those 5 in Florida that was just indicated in the report.
Well, what we said was that they've been exposed to it.
They've been
exposed. You're quite correct. We do not know yet whether they've contracted the disease. Mr. Secretary, Americans are afraid.
There's no question about it. And what we got to do is we got to get the evidence out there. And I think we're doing that. We're trying to make sure that we do not speculate. We're trying to make sure that what we say is absolutely proven and it's been laboratorily tested, and that we can say for a fact that this has really happened. So far, in a lot of these cases, we have not been able to do so.
You've been adamant that the United States government is prepared to take care of any contingency in this question of bioterrorism. And a lot of people say that's not true.
Well, Sam, we are able to respond, and we still, of course, have got improvements to make, but we can respond as we have in Florida, as we have in Washington, D.C., as we have in New York, and we'll be able to continue to do so if there are some more cases. And if you look at it, there's only been one confirmed case in Florida, 2 exposures, 1 confirmed case in New York, and a possibility of another exposure. And so far, it has been handled very adroitly and sophisticatedly by CDC and all the state and local and federal health officials.
Well, sir, the government has responded. The question is, has it been able to respond effectively? And could it respond effectively if there was a large-scale attack? Let me remind you of what happened last June when Operation Codenamed Dark Winter was conducted at Andrews Air Force Base. Several senior people here in the United States, including Sam Nunn and the governor of Oklahoma, participated. And Operation Dark Winter proved that if one single case of this disease, and in this case it was smallpox, got started in Oklahoma, there'd be 5,000 cases before they could get hold of it. And a GAO study, which was conducted after September 11th, has said that there are 11 different government agencies here in Washington poorly trying to coordinate this, and that not only the federal government, but state and local governments are unprepared. Have you read that study?
Yes, we've read the study, and we have taken all kinds of precautions to change any of the failures that came about as a result of that experiment. And I would like to point out...
You say change it. I mean, have you already corrected the failures in less than 30 days?
We have corrected... This happened last May. We have corrected a lot of things since last May, and we're correcting things each and every day. We have 7,000 medical professionals throughout this country, divided up in 90 medical assistance teams ready to go into any particular state or locality in order to assist the state and local health officials. We have 400 tons of medical supplies that we can move, that are strategically located throughout the United States in 8 sites, that we can move into a particular site within 12 hours. In the case of New York, we were able to move it in within 7 hours. In the case of Washington, D.C., we were able to move it in within hours. We're able to move. We've got all state health and local health departments on notice. We have a hotline into CDC. We are in daily communication with all the state health departments, all the epidemiologies in those health departments. We have 81 labs that are connected to the CDC lab, all connected, that are discussing things on a daily basis. All of this has taken place, and we are ready to move if in case something happens.
You mentioned the CDC. The CDC says, and you say rather, that you have 2 million vaccine portions for smallpox.
We have 15.4 million, Sam. We are able to treat 2 million individuals for 60 days for anthrax, and we're going up on the Capitol Hill this week.
The CDC says you need 10 million people to be treated for anthrax.
No, CDC does not say that. CDC says that we have 2 million. We have enough dosage to treat 2 million people for 60 days. And we are going up on Capitol Hill this week and requesting an additional $1 billion to increase that to 12 million so that we could handle 12 million individuals in America for up to 60 days. So I'm telling people you don't need to hoard Ciproflox or Dino or penicillin. All of the anthrax we've seen has been very responsive to all of these antibiotics. And we have over 400 tons right now in our supply. And we're going to go in and purchase enough more to deal with 12 million Americans if they come in contact with anthrax. And so I think we are aptly and will be fully supplied. We need some more. We have some other problems that we're addressing, such as more local and state health communications. We want to be able to expand the education for emergency wards. These are some problems that we're still working on. But overall, we can respond, and we have been able to. Every indication, we've been able to respond.
Well, I know I may be pushing this too far, and I hope you'll forgive me.
No, that's fine.
There are a lot of people.
I want to get this information out.
All right. I have a report, sir, that says the CDC says the intended target of antibiotics for pharmaceuticals in treatment of anthrax is 10 million people, not 2 million people. Do you really dispute that?
I don't dispute that, but we have 2 million right now, and we're going to go in and buy it.
But if we need 10 million, and
But we're going to have
2
12 million. We're going to have an additional 10 million.
But we don't have them today, sir.
We don't have them now, but we have 2 million, and we can handle all of the situations. We're treating 1,000 people in Florida. We're treating several hundred in New York, and we still have enough to treat with 2 million, and we're going into the marketplace very quickly and purchase an additional 10 million so that 12 million Americans can be covered for up to 60 days. 2 million more than CDC.
People shouldn't hoard Cipro. But
They should not.
I
Or
noticed the
gas
State
masks.
Department has asked all of its embassies across the world to get a 3-day supply of Cipro in immediately for all of its
But that's for
employees.
embassies across the world. Here we have 8 strategically located pharmaceutical supplies that can be moved within hours. And we'll be able to move them within 12 hours to any location in the United States.
You have just appointed Dr. Donald A. Henderson, who is world-renowned because he helped eradicate smallpox.
And he meets with me almost on a daily basis.
And he's
Sam.
the chair of your advisory commission on bioterrorism. And he says, and I quote, "It is difficult for me to exaggerate the deficiencies of our present public health capabilities."
And that's why I brought him in to help make sure that we look at those deficiencies and correct them.
But
and
if
we
there
are
are
in the-
deficiencies, how can you say we're prepared today?
We are prepared today to respond, Sam. And we have been able to respond. Look at what has taken place. There was a problem in New York. We were in there within 7 hours. We were able to move 700 medical professionals into the city of New York and into the city of Washington, D.C., into the state of Pennsylvania. We have 7,000 health professionals that are divided up into 90 medical assistance teams. We have 6,000 in the Commission Corps, medical professionals that are able to move in. We have over several hundred in CDC, several hundred doctors and professionals and scientists in at NIH. We have contacted the state medical societies. We have contacted the National Medical Society, the hospital associations, and put them all on alert. All of those individuals have volunteered to say, we will provide you with the resources necessary. When you put this all together, there were deficiencies. We are correcting those
There are
deficiencies.
deficiencies.
There were.
You've just acknowledged we don't have enough anthrax vaccine for 10 million.
And we are in the process of purchasing 10
So there are at
million.
the moment deficiencies.
No, there are not.
Well,
There are 2 million. No, there are 2 million. We should have 12 million.
So we don't have them yet.
We don't have them
So
yet.
there are deficiencies.
But as of right now, we could respond, and as
2
you
million.
indicated, we have.
All right. Sir, you've been very kind to go back and forth with me on this, and I know our time is limited.
Yeah.
But there was a report in the Washington Times that the terrorists may have acquired some sort of nuclear capability.
There's a lot of rumors out there, and we're checking out everything.
Tell us what you know about
I
that.
do not know. All I've heard is that, I've heard the same speculations. What we're trying to do as in the health department is when there's a health concern, we look at the health problems and we try to come up with a remedy. We think we have been able to do so very effectively so far, and we think we'll be able
Well,
to
the
do so
senior
in
defense-
regards to a nuclear thing. That's going to have to be from the intelligence sources or from FBI.
But I
That's
ask
not-
you because the senior defense official says maybe they have the capability of not a fissionable bomb,
Right.
but the kind of explosive that would generate radiation or disseminate radiation. Are you prepared with radiation devices to help the public should that occur?
We are able to respond if, in fact, that takes place.
So you are prepared. You have them.
we
Suits, dosimeters.
We don't have all of that stuff, no, at this point in time. We will be able to respond, but we can't take care of every contingency at this point in time. We are prepared for what we know is out there, and that's what we want to make sure the American public know, that if in case there's an anthrax, case of smallpox, we have the pharmaceuticals and the vaccines and the antibiotics ready to move into any particular location.
Secretary Thompson, it's a tough job that you're in.
It's a
and
very tough job.
We all know this, and we appreciate your coming this morning. It's at the moment almost a no-win job.
That is correct.
Thanks very much for being with us, and I hope you'll come back.
Well, I certainly will. Thank you.
All right. Still ahead, an exclusive interview with Pakistan's foreign minister, plus the roundtable. But first, when we come back, what measures are being taken to protect the public? We'll speak with the Postmaster General, Philadelphia's police commissioner, and a security expert right after this.
This Week with Sam Donaldson and Cokie Roberts. Brought to you by GE. From plastics to financial services, we bring good things to life.
There's been a major new breakthrough in the fight against breast cancer.
This has revolutionized the way we practice mammography.
It's an amazing new mammography system from GE called the Senograph 2000D. It allows me to have clear digital images. There are fewer retakes, which means less radiation.
Less discomfort.
Less time, less anxiety.
You can actually get more information, and that's what this is all about.
That makes an extraordinary difference to me as a doctor and as a woman.
You're losing it, my friend. Calcium. Every day. 100 milligrams here, 30 there. What can you do? This. Viactive. A soft, delicious chew, just twice a day. Gives your body 100% of the daily value of calcium. You lose it every day. Treat yourself to Viactive every day. In 4 indulgent flavors. Be sweet to your bones.
This is experience. This is discipline. This is how investors make it through volatile markets. At Merrill Lynch, we guide our clients through market uncertainty by reassessing their risk, their asset allocation, and their financial goals. This is what a Merrill Lynch financial advisor does.
This is what you do.
And these are the times when we do it best.
Joining us now is the Postmaster General of the United States, John Potter. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good morning, Koki. Thank you for having me here.
Now, all of these cases or exposures to anthrax that we've learned about have come through the mail. What are you doing to protect us from our mail?
The best thing that we can do is to educate America. Educate America on the risk. Today, we handle 680 million pieces of mail on a daily basis. Since September 11th, we've delivered over 15 billion pieces of mail. We have a handful of cases that are being investigated. So the first thing to do is understand that there's an infinitesimally small risk out there. However, let me assure you that even one case is one too many. So people need to be aware of what's in the mail.
But that's once we get the mail. Is there something you're doing before we get the mail to screen it, to take a look at it, to see if it's mail that should be moving?
Well, just as we're educating America, we're educating our 800,000 employees as to what to look for in the mail. We're telling them, just as we're telling America, look for envelopes without postage, look for anything that looks suspicious. If they see powder or dust or dirt around mail where it shouldn't be, or if they see something that looks odd to them, then we're asking them to bring that to our attention. We're asking Americans to do the same thing when they receive their mail. You know, again, the best defense here is awareness.
Now, the NBC letter that turned out to be the bad letter, the letter that seemed to be contaminated, looked perfectly normal. It wasn't the crazy handwriting letter. It was a perfectly normal looking letter that came from Trenton, New Jersey. How is one to protect oneself against that?
I don't want to get into a lot of detail around that letter because there's a criminal investigation underway. But again, people should be aware of who's sending them a letter, and there are things that would have them, give them cause to be suspicious. The key is, what do you do if you have a suspicious letter? And what we're advising Americans to do is to contact local law enforcement. They will be in touch with the appropriate health agencies. The Postal Inspection Service, the FBI, and others are ready to help and get involved to investigate each and every incident.
We heard Brian Ross in his report and Vice President Cheney say there might be a link among these letters. Is there a way for you, I know you're looking at millions of pieces of mail, but for you to look at the mail and see if there are other links?
Again, that's part of a criminal investigation effort. I don't want to go there right now. It's not appropriate for me to comment. What's appropriate for me to do is to tell the American public that they need to be aware of what's coming to them. They need to handle what they receive appropriately. If they do get something suspicious, they need to isolate that piece, not make sure that they're the only one that handles it, make sure they wash their hands, and make sure that they contact the appropriate authorities. Dial 911. Now, that's not to say that, again, this is infinitesimally small. That's not to say that each and every case that's come up has been, you know, an active case of a biochemical agent. There have been many hoaxes out there, and I want to assure the American public we're following up on everything, including the hoaxes, because at this point in time, we need to create some calm. We're doing what the president has told us to do, to try and bring back a sense of normalcy to day-to-day life in America. And what's more normal than getting your mail? 137 million addresses.
Okay.
Get
All
mail
right.
6 days a week.
Thank you very much, Mr. Potter. Joining us now from Philadelphia, the Police Commissioner John Timoney, and in Washington, Chuck Vance, who's Chief Executive at an international security firm. Starting with you, Mr. Timoney, you just heard Mr. Potter say, dial 911.
Right.
Are you getting an awful lot of 911 calls, and what on earth can you do about it?
Yeah, well, good morning, Cokie. We've been getting, since September 11th, flooded, obviously, with bomb threats. But over the last 24 to 36 hours, the calls on anthrax, we've been flooded, and it's required us to make some adjustments. Obviously, the initial responder, the 911 officer will go, he'll make a quick assessment, and then we have an intermediate step where an assessment team made up of a police officer, fire officer, a health department official, and a bomb expert or explosive expert will go to the scene and make an assessment and say, you know, there's nothing to it, but if it looks suspicious and they can take it out of there in safety, they'll do that. Or then just do a full-blown emergency removal.
Now, this anthrax scare comes on top of the alert that the FBI put out late Thursday, saying that something could happen in the next several days.
Right.
Is that a useful thing for them to have done? How do you respond to that?
Yeah, well, somebody said, how higher can you go? We were already at a high sense of alert. But given the fact that there was some specificity regarding time, 4 to 5 days, I think it behooves all police departments to just take it the step further. And what we've done, in addition to the extra police officers on 12-hour tours, we've brought in extra supervisors because we don't want our officers to relax and become bored, because most of this stuff is actually pretty boring, but they need to remain on the alert, and we need the supervisors out there reminding them, certainly for the foreseeable future, to stay alert. The big problem for us, though, is long-term. If this takes up to a year, how do you maintain this high sense of alert for a year and a half?
Well, and what about the resources? This comes at a time when everybody's cutting their budgets.
Correct.
How do you pay for it?
Well, that's the big question. And my sense is that there's going to be some responsibility on the part of the federal government, to help fill the coffers of local government, because clearly we could not afford in Philadelphia or most big cities to continue on the alert just out of our own tax base. It would be impossible.
Mr. Vance, turning to you here, are all of these threats credible in your mind, or are we really barking up the wrong tree? Is the threat much more likely to be a nuclear threat?
Well, no, I think the threat, Cokie, is more likely to be what we've seen historically with terrorist groups. We've seen in other countries that they really regress back to what they know best and what they can get a hold of, which is the car bomb or the truck bomb. Yeah. It's a lot easier in this country to get a hold of ammonium nitrate, which is basically the ingredient to fertilizers, than it is to get a hold of a nuclear bomb, for gosh sakes, or to get a hold of anthrax. So I think what we're probably going to see in the future here is going back to the conventional bombing. And that, of course, depending on where they do it, can be just as terrorizing as any other instrument of war.
Now, we had, as you saw in Brian Ross' this piece earlier, this threat from the Al-Qaeda organization yesterday saying Muslims should not get on airplanes or live in high-rises. Do you take that seriously? Is that a credible threat?
No, frankly, I think that's a bit of misinformation that they're putting out there just to keep us terrorized. Yeah. I mean, they really are trying to do everything they can to keep the paranoia going in this country. And and frankly, I think the American public has to look at this more realistically. Obviously we have to heighten our concern, heighten our awareness, heighten our security profile, but you're far more likely to get killed out driving on the highways right now than you are to be killed by a terrorist.
But that's always been true. But clearly this is a different situation.
Well, it is, Cokie, it is, but you talk, for years and years people were afraid to fly, and you kept telling them, hey, you're more likely to be killed on a freeway than you are in the air, and finally people got to the point where they weren't afraid to fly. Well, this circumstance is pretty analogous, I think.
Should they be afraid to fly now?
I don't think they should, frankly. I think the terrorists are probably not going to go after the same thing they did before. They're probably going to try to hit us somewhere else.
Do you think that this alert that the FBI put the country on was a useful thing to do, or was it just not evaluating all the intelligence that's coming in properly?
Well, I think the intelligence sources and the law enforcement sources are erring on the side of being cautious. So I think that the FBI, who is in the Justice Department, who certainly got a little bit of criticism for not anticipating the September 11th event, are probably just kind of covering themselves, and they do have credible information, I'm sure. However, for people to go out and say that there's a 100% chance of them to retaliate on us, or that we're going to be on the highest state of alert, I think it's counterproductive, frankly, for our population.
Thank you very much, Chuck Vance, John Timoney in Philadelphia, and John Potter here in Washington. Still ahead, the roundtable, but first, when we come back, George Stephanopoulos is in Islamabad, where he has an exclusive interview with the foreign minister as Colin Powell is on his way to Pakistan. Stay with us.
New possibilities for energy and performance just became clear. Chevron Texaco.
This is Mia. Every day she spends hours passing, dribbling, and running until her feet are ready to explode. Discipline creates performance. Talk to your financial advisor. AIM Funds. The idea is discipline. The purpose is performance. The name is AIM.
We're looking at a future bright with possibilities for energy and performance everywhere. Chevron Texaco.
This is a medicine. These are the cells in your body. You take most medicines and they scatter throughout your body to every cell. But right now, America's pharmaceutical company researchers are creating new smart medicines. They can ignore healthy cells and go straight to the disease to fight illnesses like leukemia, arthritis, and heart disease. Soon, there will be a lot more of these smart medicines. You can bank on it.
Monday, Jimmy Kimmel has only one question left to answer.
Try doing my gum.
It's week 2 of Millionaires Comedy Edition. Then, Dallas meets Washington. The rivalry continues on Monday Night Football. The toughest night on television starts Monday at 8/7 Central on ABC.
I'm his lawyer. I'm bringing him in.
Sometimes, the toughest trials that a lawyer ever faces
Son of a when the day's work
are the ones outside of the courtroom.
I could have you charged, Kathleen.
Charge me.
Nobody can ever make me love you any less.
Philly, Tuesday at 10/9 Central on ABC. Viewer discretion advised.
Secretary of State Colin Powell leaves for the Pakistan-India subcontinent region today. First stop, Pakistan, where the government has agreed to help the United States in the war against Afghanistan. But many Pakistanis protesting in the street have not. George Stephanopoulos is in the capital of Islamabad. George?
Thanks, Sam. And I'm here with Pakistan's Foreign Minister Abdul Sattar. Mr. Sattar, thank you for being with us.
Glad to be with you.
Earlier this week, President Musharraf said he's received assurances that the bombing campaign will be short and targeted. But President Bush denied giving any such assurance. Has Pakistan received this or not?
I think we should not really dwell too much on short and long. Duration will depend on achieving the targets that have been fixed in the Security Council resolution of 12 September 2001.
But you see there are protests now in Jacobabad just today in Pakistan. Are you concerned that this is going on too long? We're now in the 8th day.
I think the longer this operation lasts, the greater the damage and to collateral damage, and the larger the number of Afghan refugees that enter Pakistan, the greater will be the worry and concern in Pakistan.
There were also reports this week in the American press that Pakistan has asked the United States to hold back on bombing frontline Taliban forces in order to prevent the Northern Alliance from going in and taking over Kabul. Is that true?
I think this is substantially true, namely that at this time, for the minority ethnic group in the northeast to march down to the south, capture Kabul, will destabilize an already volatile situation. And the best thing is that we should talk about the future political plans and help the Afghan people in forming for themselves a broad-based government that can bring peace and stability to Afghanistan.
As you know, President Bush has been working with the UN to create a Loya Jirga, the Afghan process, to create a government that will be formed after the war. Do you support that process?
We support the UN process. It has from the beginning aimed at the formation of a representative, broad-based and multi-ethnic government. Once it is formed, I think it will be good for the people of Afghanistan, and it will be good for all the neighbors around Afghanistan.
You're also meeting this week with representatives of King Zahir Shah. They're coming to Pakistan. Is it acceptable for Pakistan for the king to head an interim government?
The answer is yes. King Zahir Shah is known for the benign rule that he gave to his country. In fact, his era is now looked, it seems in retrospect, to be a golden era. And I'm sure a large number of Afghan people would welcome a role by the former king in leading his people and country to a peaceful future.
But the king is allied now with the Northern Alliance. Is that a problem for Pakistan?
No, we have nothing against the Northern Alliance. Many of these people have had a role in the struggle against Soviet occupation. And the question really is that there should be a balance, namely that the ethnic communities should be represented in the future government, and that
means more Pashtuns.
Well, Pashtuns happen to be a majority of the population, and denial of representation to them will be a prescription for instability and infighting.
How about Taliban defectors? Is there a place for them in the future government?
Well, Taliban, you know, the word means students of religious schools. There must be millions of them in Afghanistan, but the question is that of the power structure. And I think those people who are responsible for bringing this hardship to the Afghan people by mortgaging their policy to a handful of outlaws who are foreigners, they probably will not have a role in the future. But there are many others, good people who have a record of service to Afghanistan in their struggle for recovery of independence and freedom. They could have a role.
But in order to make this work, do you think it's going to be necessary for there to be some sort of UN force to demilitarize Kabul? Some have suggested an all-Islamic force made up of Islamic forces that don't border Afghanistan, like Turkey and Morocco.
I think the emphasis in the first phase has to be on formation of a broad-based government. And if that government needs the presence of foreign forces under the umbrella of the United Nations, I think it should be the duty of all of us to help them. Whether they are all Islamic forces or not is a different matter. I don't think we would insist on that. Pakistan would insist on that. The United Nations has to have an impartial role. And we would leave it to the Secretary General of the United Nations to form a combination of forces that can best provide the umbrella for the future government in Afghanistan to achieve stability and peace in their country.
Finally, sir, Secretary Powell will also be dealing with the issue of Kashmir, which some U.S. officials have called the most dangerous place on earth. What do you think the U.S. can do to help lessen the tension there?
The United States, along with other members of the Security Council of the United Nations, can help recommence a dialogue between Pakistan and India so that we, with the rest of the world community, can attempt to arrive at a solution acceptable to the people of Afghanistan. I think that is the bottom line. A solution has to be
Kashmir
has to be acceptable to the people of Kashmir. I'm sorry for.
Mr. Sattar, that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much.
Happy to have been with you.
Sam?
Thanks, George. George Stephanopoulos in Islamabad. Coming up, Koki, George Will, and ABC's Terry Moran. Join us for the Roundtable right after this.
Consultants say this is the best piece of strategic thinking they've ever done. But our IT guys say it's a fantasy. They say it won't work.
And you want to know who's telling you the truth?
Exactly.
Well, there's the rub, Stanley. They both are.
Strategies you can actually execute? It's not a fantasy.
Spin, spin, spin the globe. It's your turn to spin the globe. Spin it, spin it, spin it.
All around the world, Siemens is helping people work together, even when they're not together. From next-generation internet to mobile business solutions, we're giving people the freedom to communicate better.
Spin, spin, spin the globe. It's your turn to spin the globe.
There's been some dramatic declines in the stock market in the last year. Historically, we have a decline of 10% or more about once every 2 years. That's the nature of the market. Even in good markets, we have declines. If you don't understand that, you're not going to be a good investor. Since World War II, we've had 9 recessions. Guess what? Corporate profit's gone up about 60-fold since World War II. The stock market's up over 60-fold. The stock market historically has been a very good place to be over every 20-year period. That's why you invest in the stock market.
This Week with Sam Donaldson and Cokie Roberts will continue in a moment after this from our ABC stations.
Are small towns ready for a terrorist attack? Is yours? How are communities handling the fear, and are they doing enough? Watch World News Tonight with Peter Jennings this week.
When you don't have the money, even the simple problems can make it feel like you're totally overwhelmed. Call Check and Go. We'll give you a cash advance today and hold your personal check until your next payday. Check and Go. We can help. When you're running low on cash, even a simple repair can be way too much to handle. Call Check and Go. We'll give you a cash advance today and hold your personal check until your next payday. Check and Go. We can help.
Modern life. Too much to do, not enough time. The whole thing can tie you up in knots. Wouldn't it be great just to come home and dive into perfect relaxation? Oregon Hot Spring Spas.
And right now at every Oregon Hot Spring Spas location, you'll find terrific home show specials on top quality spas. The best is on sale now. Oregon Hot Spring Spas, the best there is, and one of life's rewards.
Help homebound senior citizens and buy a Loaves and Fishes mealogram.
Welcome to our roundtable, where we deliver sometimes fiery opinions, but you can throw as much cold water on them as you wish. And joining us, as always, George Will. Hello, George.
Good morning.
Good to see you. And our White House correspondent, Chief White House Correspondent Terry Moran. Terry, welcome.
Thanks, Sam.
Well, what should we make of this bioterrorism scare? And when I say scare, it's very real to, of course, the people who may be infected, but should we think that the whole nation is at risk, George?
Not yet, but potentially. It's a wake-up call and a fire bell in the night and all that, and to that extent it's a good thing. Weaponizing these germs or chemicals is not as easy as it looks. And if this is an indication of the competence of our enemies at this point, that's it takes some comfort from that. But obviously from smallpox on, there's a lot to be prepared for.
Terry, as you can see, the government, at least Tommy Thompson, wants to really play it as if we're all ready, we're okay. All right, Jack?
Well, they know that the basis of fear is ignorance, and the president himself has made a decision to communicate as much as possible what the government knows about this and what it's doing. But let's face it, the government, like the rest of the country, is on a learning curve on this, and the kinds of things we're hearing from Secretary Thompson and other officials are probably not the things we're going to hear in the 6 months from now. This blithe reassurance that everything's hunky-dory when it comes to bioterrorism is perhaps overboard in trying to reassure
Well, and the
people.
NIH, the National Institutes of Health, is under heavy security because in those laboratories live the bacteria for smallpox, plague, and anthrax. Also, that is where they're developing a lot of the vaccines. But there's some people who feel strongly that we should go back to vaccinating everybody against smallpox the way we were as children, And even though smallpox has been eradicated from the earth, that might just be the most sensible thing to do.
Well, we're talking about mixed messages here, aren't we? And the president at his news conference had to do the same thing on a number of fronts. Reassurance, at the same time, warnings. Did that work?
Well, it seems not to have. People are still asking, what should I do? What can I do given this blanket and rather frightening alert that the FBI has sent out? And the government is not giving any good answers in that regard, except to be vigilant. The president even joked about it at one point, saying if you see somebody strange getting into a crop duster that doesn't belong to him, call the police. And that shows, A, his character, and B, the lack of specific helpful information to citizens from the government.
But then why have that alert? I mean, that thing came across my desk at 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, and it's these 2 sentences with the FBI seal on it, and it's about the scariest thing you've ever seen in your life. And you sit there and say, well, there must be a reason they're scaring us to death at the same time that they're saying go into the malls and go to the ball games and all of that. So why are we doing both things at the same time?
Do you think they had a reason, or you think they're just covering themselves?
No, I think they had a reason. Look, how many federal agents are there? How many law enforcement at all level are there? There are 280 million Americans, and the more suspicious and observant they become right now, the better. So we've all been deputized, in effect. That's what that did.
I think that's right. But then what does that do to the poor cops?
Well, the problem is the country has to get back to doing discretionary things. Mental health and economic health and everything in between depends on that. I was doing both. That night. I was with 58,000 people Thursday night in Yankee Stadium. They delayed the beginning of the Yankees-A's game, not long enough for the Yankees.
I was about to say, you liked it because the Yankees lost.
Correct. Now, they delayed the game and they put the president's statement and press conference on television. Dead silence, 58,000 people, interrupted only by sporadic applause of approval for what the president was saying. There was the country being serious at the ballpark.
Well, the president saying, everybody looked at that news conference and said, this is a great man. People who didn't vote for him, people who 30 days ago didn't think he was a great man. It really has rejuvenated him. And I guess, what, Terry, he's risen to the occasion?
Well, there's no question that the country has rallied around the president, as it traditionally does. It's one of the sources of strength of the institution itself. But he and his particular qualities seem to fit the situation for most Americans. It was interesting, after that press conference, most of the American reporters walked out of there giving him an A, essentially, saying he did pretty well. Some of the foreign reporters I talked to said, he's completely uninspiring. What is America going to do? And I thought about that, and it occurred to me that the qualities that he displayed there, that kind of pragmatism, performance-oriented, a very basic, simple moral compass, decency, earnestness, those are all things that resonate with Americans. He does not have the mastery of detail or the deep understanding of history that might appeal to Europeans.
Plus, the foreigners don't know how to talk Texican. Cough them up, don't pick on your neighbor.
But he certainly had mastery of the details of what the United States is up to right now. There was no hesitancy in his answers, and I think that his approval is not just the rally around the president. In our ABC polls this week, it's very interesting stuff. First of all, he's at the highest approval rating of any president in history, in the history of polling, at 92%.
Yeah, it makes his dad look like a
piker at 90%. But, Franklin Roosevelt didn't hit this level. But you look back, and before September 11th, he was at 55%. Now, the week after September 11th, ABC asked the question, do you think the government was prepared for these attacks? 2/3 said no. In this last poll where the president got these high marks, they said, do you think that the government is prepared for future attacks? 70% said yes. So there's a sense that he's on top of it, that he's doing the right thing. It's not just that people are rallying around him. They're rallying around what the government is doing.
George, will this last?
Nothing lasts. Nothing lasts. But this much is the case. George Bush got into the presidential race because he was semi-drafted by the money people in the Republican Party. Then his animal spirits kicked in, and he wanted to beat McCain, and then he wanted to beat Gore, and then woke up and said, well, now what? So he put together an agenda, but he wasn't a man with a sense of vocation, a sense of being called to something. He has a religious temperament, and he does feel that he's been called to do this.
Okay. On Capitol Hill, they're debating a security bill for airports. Senate passed it with no dissenting votes. The House Republican leadership refuses to let it come to a vote because they feel strongly that the workforce screening people at the magnetometers and the baggage areas should not be federalized, as the Senate wants. Now, is this a principle they ought to stand on, or is the country looking and saying, what, you won't pass an airport security bill?
Well, if the country pays attention, that's what they're going to say. What, you won't pass an airport security bill? Because people are eager for airport security to be good, and so that you have not much attention being focused on it, because we've been paying attention to war and bioterrorism, things that are a little bit scarier. But the fact is, it was said in the Republican conference out loud, if those workers are federalized, they will join the Federal Workers Union and they will vote Democratic. And we don't want to do that. And so, you know, I think that that is not something that Americans care much about, whether they vote Democratic or not. What they want is an airline security bill.
I don't know what moron said that, but that is really not the principal issue here. The principal issue is speed. How fast do you want this up and running? We have 30,000 flights a day in this country. If you want an air marshal on each one, you're going to have to get a lot of people fast. Now, if you're going to do it in Washington with a central bureaucracy that starts from a standing start and hires these people and trains them, it's going to take a very long time. Better to do what is suggested by Stephen Cooley, the district attorney of Los Angeles County, who says, look, we have vast local resources of law enforcement, people trained in handling firearms and in law enforcement. Bring them in. Federal government, everyone in Congress really recognizes that guaranteeing the security of airports and flights is a federal responsibility, but how you do it matters. The modalities matter. Take advantage of the local personnel.
But, George, it is a political conversation, not a policy conversation, and the fact is that that politically they could find themselves up a creek because they don't have an airline security
Terry,
bill.
the president looks at all of this and he has mixed feelings, doesn't he?
Well, he does. He obviously is the leader of his party, but he's made clear that because of the necessity to get this done, a lot of it can be done by him through executive order. He can set the standards, get the training in place, reinforce the cockpits. He can't lay a new ticket tax to pay for some of it. Only Congress can do that. He wants Congress to do it. Things would be better for the country. But if it drags on for too long, he'll do it himself.
Now, you just heard Secretary Thompson say another $1 billion for vaccines. You heard Police Commissioner Timoney say the federal government has got to give local police officers some money because we can't possibly do this on our own. Everything that's happening right now in Capitol Hill, starting with airline security and moving on, cost them money.
Well, I got a minute left. Quick answers from each one of you. After a little bit over 30 days, how's the country doing? Coming back?
Well, there are a lot of signs that the country's coming back. Like I said, I think it's a learning curve. If you look back at the first year after Pearl Harbor, there was great confusion and panic and fear as Hitler was marching on Moscow and the Japanese were marching across the Pacific. People got through that. We'll get through this.
One index. The basic market measures say that the losses since September 11 have been made up. Country's doing well.
Although more people are buying Cipro, the drug against the anthrax, than Viagra, so that there is some sense of what the fear is there. But I think the president was most eloquent when he talked about how the armies of compassion have been unleashed as a result of this, and that his whole compassionate agenda has already been taken care of by the American people themselves.
Yeah, well, I think the country's coming back. If we have another attack, of course, that may set us back momentarily. But it's like the Dow chart. The curve for the United States is up. Okay, when we come back, the George Will commentary. Are things as bad as all that? George's thoughts expanded right after this.
The new economy isn't more high-tech than the old new economy. The new economy is more efficient. It requires scalable inventories, tighter supply chains, and most important, the realization that even the most efficient workforce can't work very well if it doesn't have anything to work on. SAP.
New possibilities for energy and performance just became clear. Chevron Texaco.
It's astonishing. It's breathtaking. It's the revolutionary GE Profile Arctica. The first refrigerator that can thaw a filet in half the time. It can even chill wine in minutes. Help keep lettuce naturally crisp. And make extra ice extra fast. All while using up to 40% less energy, which makes your kitchen the one place it really belongs. The amazing GE Profile Arctica. The refrigerator. Rethought, reinvented, revolutionized.
Looking at a future bright with possibilities for energy and performance everywhere. Chevron Texaco.
ABC Tonight, two of television's best, back to back at 9/8 Central.
I am holding plutonium here.
She's living a double life, working as a double agent.
My days of blindly following orders are over.
Then at 10/9 Central.
That's what they have to be afraid of.
Don't miss this award-winning drama, The Practice.
You got till tomorrow.
Just give me the money.
Please.
Go, baby, go!
It's an all-new Alias, followed by an all-new Practice. Tonight, starting at 9/8 Central on ABC.
George, Will, what are we not doing?
We're doing pretty well. We're not as depressed as people think we are. Granted, since the beginning of this crisis, there's been an upsurge in prescriptions written for antidepressant drugs, so-called coping drugs, but we're coping pretty well. Look at what is not happening here. We have nothing like the so-called Palmer raids against radicals conducted by this rascal, A. Mitchell Palmer, who was Attorney General of the United States immediately after World War I. We don't have internment camps where we took Japanese American citizens, mind you, away from their homes. Took them far away, including this person, Mr. Norman Mineta, who is now Secretary of Transportation, who was taken as a boy in his Cub Scout uniform from his home in San Jose to Wyoming. We don't have a loyalty panic of the sort that was associated with this man, Joseph McCarthy. And there are other good things happening. Something called BlueNile.com, which is an e-jeweler, says there's been an upsurge in engagement ring sales. There's a surge of weddings, particularly around military bases. And there's even a report, I don't know where they got this, that there's an increase in sexual activity, you and your Viagra, Cokie, in this country. The fact is, Americans have been told to make love, not war. Turns out we're a can-do people, and we're going to do both.
Thank you, George.
There's
Sam
the test,
and I will
the
be back
Viagra
after
test.
this.
I love it.
This is experience. This is discipline. This is how investors make it through volatile markets. At Merrill Lynch, we guide our clients through market uncertainty by reassessing their risk, their asset allocation, and their financial goals. This is what a Merrill Lynch financial advisor does.
This is what you do.
And these are the times when we do it best.
Like this? Hey. Testing. Check. Check. Hello?
Now, I got 300 people in there, and every time they go out there, this happens.
They're falling behind because they don't have their information. Here, it's the Sprint PCS Wireless Web for Business. You can keep up with corporate email, schedules, even move inventory over the phone, all in real time, and the calls are clear.
This is great. Oh, hey, wow.
Would you like a job?
Sorry, I have a job.
The Sprint PCS Clear Wireless Workplace, because business can't wait.
This is a medicine. These are the cells in your body. Take most medicines, and they scatter throughout your body to every cell. But right now, America's pharmaceutical company researchers are creating new smart medicines. They can ignore healthy cells and go straight to the disease to fight illnesses like leukemia, arthritis, and heart disease. Soon, there will be a lot more of these smart medicines. You can bank on it.
Is there anything more beautiful than a baby's face? Well, as a matter of fact, there is. A baby's face lit by the amazing GE Reveal bulb. Reveal filters out dull yellow rays, leaving only clean, pure light. GE Reveal. There's nothing more beautiful
than clean, pure light.
Be adventurous. Be plugged in. Be involved. Be powerful. Be yourself. Because it's your choice, your voice, and your attitude. Today's AARP.
October 27th is Make a Difference Day. Take an hour or a day and mentor a child, work at a food bank, or simply offer a word of kindness. You'll find you can make all the difference in the world.
Call 1-800-VOLUNTEER and make a difference.
For the latest developments and new details as they break, stay with ABC News. Tonight, ABC's World News Sunday, and tomorrow, continuing coverage on Good Morning America, World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, Nightline, and of course, 24 hours a day on abcnews.com and sam.com.
Well, I have two interesting programs. James Woolsey, the former Director of Central Intelligence on intelligence failures and the hunt for Osama, and well-known District Defense Attorney Alan Dale. Could Osama get a fair trial in this country? Where are you going to find people who say, no, I don't know anything about this case. I haven't made up my mind. And how could the government present intelligence information? I think you want to watch. Log on to sam.abcnews.com.
And for this week, that's all. Until next week.
To order a video cassette or transcript of This Week with Sam Donaldson and Cokie Roberts, phone 1-800-CALL-ABC.
240 hours restoring an old baseball field in East Cleveland. 300 hours reading with first graders in a school near Albany. 12,000 hours teaching science in Louisville. 2,000 hours mentoring high school seniors in Cincinnati. This year, GE volunteers across the country will spend over 1 million hours helping others because they know the best way to change things is to reach out a hand.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
Final round coverage of the Inventus Classic today on ABC.
Bedmart has made a special purchase of Beauty Rest for the factory volume discount event. And we're passing those savings on to you. Until Monday night at 6 p.m., you can shop any of Bedmart's 10 stores and save $200 on this plush Beauty Rest Queen set. Now only $397. Or get a better night's sleep on a Pillow Top Beauty Rest set for only $597. Hurry in while the savings last.
Why pay more at another store? Shop and save at Bedmart.
Cloudy with a few sunny breaks with a high of 50.
Is that Susan?
Carol, is that you?
My God, Susan, you're off the streets. You look so beautiful.
That makes a difference in your life. It's what K2 News is all about. K2 News, the breaking news station.
Country singing sensation Sarah Evans, Monday on AM Northwest.